Now there was this shooting that happened out here in Lancaster back in 2024, and I was a little confused why it was in the news in 2025, but it was a gang shooting. And Lancaster, for those who are unfamiliar, is a small city in the northern part of Los Angeles County. It's actually, I want to say it's if you keep going north past Lancaster, you're going to get into Kern County. So that's how far north it is. But LA County is huge. So I don't know if you knew that Lancaster's still LA County.
Yeah, it's Antelope Valley, but
Yeah.
Palmdale, Lancaster is still LA County.
Yeah. Once you pass Lancaster, the next county is Kern. But there's a lot of LA folks out there in Lancaster. And let me read this little article from Channel 7 Eyewitness News. A reputed Pasadena street gang member was arrested Tuesday for allegedly taking part in a pair of gang-related killings that occurred during a shooting spree in Lancaster. Jerry Wembley III, 20 years old, of Lancaster, was named along with two co-defendants in a 4-count federal indictment. Wembley was charged in the indictment with 2 counts of murder in aid of racketeering, according to U.S. Attorney's Office. Also charged in the indictment were Vianney Richardson, 37, of Lancaster, and Jerry Wembley Jr., who's 22, same last name, same name, Jerry Wembley III, Jerry Wembley Jr., he's 22, also of Lancaster. Richardson was already in custody in Nevada on an unrelated state charge, was charged with 2 counts of murder in aid of racketeering, 1 count of attempted murder in aid of racketeering, and 1 count of being a felon in possession of ammunition. And this all goes back to a shooting that happened in 2024 with the Wembley brothers taking part in the latter two, after which the defendants gathered at the gravesite of a fellow gang member to mark the 2-year anniversary of the person's death. So we got all kind of blood gangbanging going on in Lancaster. I'm just a little confused to hear the PDL name mentioned, the Pasadena Denver lanes mentioned in this Lancaster shooting.
No, not me, because I know PDL, Pasadena Denver Lane, got a heavy presence out there, Palmdale, Lancaster, to the point they even had a gang injunction on PDL in the city of Palmdale. I'm like, damn, how they do that? And then not only them, Whack 100, where the community he from, 2Ps, they out there deep. So, you know how people be migrating, man.
Yeah, well, these guys, this was a state case. All these guys were in custody in 2024, and I looked them up, and they were transferred out of custody from the LA County Jail, which is a state case. Now they're in federal custody. So that's a trip. You sitting in the jail for several months thinking you fighting a state case, and then before you know it, you're in federal custody fighting a Fed case.
It's toe up.
Yeah.
Toe up. We got none of the particulars of that, like more so.
No, I don't know the details, but it does say on the LA County Jail website that the ATF took him into custody. I'm not sure if that means that this becomes a more of a firearm. Well, it's absolutely a firearm offense because you got felons in possession of a gun and then they're using guns in this shooting. But sometimes it says FBI, so I wonder why it says ATF. But yeah, they are not in state custody. They're in federal custody now. And that's a trip because you sitting in there thinking one thing, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, hey guys, pack up your stuff. You're going to MDC now. And that's where they're at. But I think we have a clip. Play clip 2 of this Lancaster shooting.
3 shootings leave 2 men dead and another one wounded in the Antelope Valley.
Yeah, this all happened within 2 hours and only a few miles apart from each other. Mario Ramirez is standing by in Lancaster with more. Mario.
Good morning. A violent night here in Lancaster. A resident just came up and asked us if the cashier was okay because there was a shooting here last year at this gas station that injured the clerk. And we can tell you this is now one of 3 separate shooting scenes under investigation by the LA County Sheriff's Department after a man was gunned down here in the parking lot last night. The series of shootings, take a look. They started around 7:20 last night at 30th Street and Avenue J. LA County fire paramedics arriving to find a man with a gunshot wound to the arm near Cal State's Antelope Valley campus. The victim there taken to a hospital and is expected to survive. Now, about 4.5 miles from that scene, a second shooting was reported around 8:45 last night on Sierra Highway near Avenue H8, where police say a man was rushed to the hospital in critical condition and later died. Investigators there remain on the scene this morning and continue to search for a gunman. And the last shooting, again, here at this gas station on the 400 block of East Avenue L around 9:20 last night. A man shot in the parking lot here before collapsing on the street less than 4 miles from that last shooting scene along Sierra Highway. The victim later dying at the hospital with no one taken into custody, and those shootings all within 2 hours and within 5 miles of each other. Coming back out here live, there are several surveillance cameras here inside and outside the gas station. Investigators haven't released any sort of suspect description and right now are working to determine if those 3 shootings could be connected. Live here in the Antelope Valley, I'm Mario Ramirez. Back to you.
All right, Mario, thank you.
Now, that was a clip from 2024, but now that has become a
ATF.
Fed case, and there's cameras everywhere. They were just showing like where all the cameras are at around this gas station. Man, cameras don't really stop a person when
it's a mission to be.
Yeah. When it's a mission, camera seems to be the least of someone's worries.
It's called a hoodie.
Yeah.
Put your hoodie on, and then you just do your thing.
But look, the cameras are also watching the car you jumping in and out of. They're looking at license plates. They're following that car travel through different streets, different intersections. So even though they can't see you, the cameras are good enough to figure out a big chunk of the crime.
Yeah, it's ways around everything. like all things.
Yeah. Hey, no one ever got arrested for shooting and killing that boxer over there in the A-Trays that we talked about on the podcast last year.
Not that we know of.
No, that would have been the news. That would have hit the news for sure. It would have been like a boxer that was shot last year. Arrests were made.
It's gonna be a lot, man. I don't know. This summer gonna be wild, man. Just go pray, everybody.
Well, it ain't gonna be like it was in the '80s and '90s. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I could always deal with a little temporary spike in crime because it's part of human nature. I always tell, this is crazy. When I have these debates in court with police, they expect to have a society where there's no killing. And I always say it is impossible to have a city like Los Angeles with 4 million people and have 0 murders.
You should have told them that's like having a police agency with no corruption. it happens. You can't control everybody. There's going to be one bad apple. Not saying all police officers are bad officers, but, in the same way in the streets there's going to be a spike.
I think it's easier to control corruption than it is to control homicides. Homicides has been a part of human society since Adam and Eve's sons. And the larger the city, the more heavily populated a city is, the more homicides you're going to have. So if a city understands that, you have to say, we had 300 homicides last year. We did a good job. We did a good job. 300 homicides in a city of 4 million. That's pretty good. You can get it down to 250. I think 250 is the lowest LA's had it with this population. If you can get that under 200, that's a miracle. If you can get LA homicides under 200, a miracle. Is it possible? Maybe, but I think the lowest we've seen was 250.
We could do it. We could do it, people. Let's get it down.
But I'm satisfied with a city of 4 million people having 300 homicides. As insensitive as that sounds, you have to understand there's going to be murders in cities across America, a country that has weapons everywhere.
That's just realistically thinking, though.